Hello everyone, my name is Vidai. Today we are on episode 4 of the Baton's Destiny, TBD. We are talking to Aravind Murthy today, Mr. Aravind Murthy, who is the co-founder of Factors.AI. Nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, so right now you're actually in San Diego for a convention, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that convention?
Yeah, so I'm here for the NeurIPS conference. It's basically Neural Information Processing Systems. And it's one of the premier conference, more of an academic conference, where all the people present papers on the recent research they've done on neural networks, language models, and so on. And it started out more as an academic conference, but now there's a lot of industry participation in it too. And given the pace at which the field of AI is changing, I thought it'll be good to get a view of what's happening. Though I'm not presenting anything in the conference, I thought it'll be good to have a view of what's happening. What are the recent changes? What are the other capabilities that we can expect in large language models or the AI, as you say, and attending that, what I'd say.
So can you tell us a couple of things that you learned, or?
A couple of things that I learned. So it's more or less all the premier minds thinking about AI and all the what are all the things that's coming up. So at a high level, the main question that I saw that was being posed was, if you know the large language models, there are a new family of models called large reasoning models, where it can, like if you type a question in Gemini or something, it'll say thinking, right?
Yeah.
And then give an answer, right? So what happens there is it's actually kind of doing what is called as a chain of thought processing, where it thinks through the answer and then gives you the answer, right? And those models are breaking all the benchmarks that we know, right?
Nice.
And they're doing better than humans in, like one of them won the Math Olympiad and so on. But it still doesn't feel that it can actually really solve real world problems. Right, and so the main thing that's coming out of the conference was, look, the models are actually solving the problems, are solving the exam, but they're still not capable enough to solve the real world problems, execute the real world problems. So either our benchmarks are wrong, one. So how do we fix those benchmarks? What are those capabilities that it needs to learn for us to actually say that, oh, it's becoming really intelligent, where it can actually do the task of a human? And how do we get to that, right? And what are those things, like humans learn all the time, continual learning was one theme. Second was what other techniques you can use to improve the reasoning. There was this technique called as reinforcement learning, which has been used quite a bit. Is that the right technique? Actually, the father of reinforcement learning, David Sutton, had one vision of how to actually go about it. He called it the oak architecture. That was one of the keynote speech in the conference. So quite a few things, multimodal models, I can go into details, but mainly the larger question was, how do we get to the next level, and what is it that we're missing now?
I see. So you said that this is a little bit of a segue, but not a segue, a different path. But you said that the AI could do really well on like school tests, on like the tests that we give them, but it cannot perform well in the actual application. So I just had an interesting thought. Do you think maybe that reflects on how we are having students do all of this? Because like if we can do well on the tests, maybe we can't do well in application. Do you think there's a relation to that?
I think it's the other way around. We presume that tests are the most important thing. I agree with that part. But there are a lot of innate capabilities that a human has that we ignore. Like for one of the examples that came up was, if somebody gets to the bar exam, then he's most likely to be a very good lawyer.
Yeah.
But the AI can crush the bar exam.
I see.
But it can't practice law, right? So there are a lot of innate capabilities that humans have learned, which is already there, and the exam is more like to differentiate between humans. How to it serves more as a differentiating factor between humans. But all humans already come with a lot of characteristics. They understand the world. They know how to deal with the world. They know how the dynamics of other people. They know the social aspects. They know a lot of other things which AI still doesn't know, right? It can't experience things. It can't feel things. So it can give you the answer, but it can't still be out there practicing law. So I think I think we tend to ignore a lot of innate things that we humans already have, and we focus a lot on the exam part, which we think is the actual differentiator, but that's not the actual differentiator.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I just had a thought, so I just wanted. So, speaking of the what is it called, NeurIPS, the NeurIPS thing?
Yeah.
So, how did you first get into like that field? How did you first get interested in, for say, like machine learning and neural networks? How did you?
So I did my master's in
electrical engineering. Yeah.
No,
you started off as an electrical engineer. Is that what I remember?
Yeah, so I did my graduation in electronics,
Yeah.
which is more of VLSI and circuits. And during that time, I was not. I found it really hard to actually understand how a transistor works.
I see.
So the electives, there were electives around VLSI, which is circuit design and other aspects. But I took the electives. There was a neural networks course, and then there was adaptive signal processing, which was also about how do you optimize gradient descent and so on. And fuzzy logic was the other electives, and I liked that subject quite a bit. And then I applied for my master's. There's an exam called as GATE, which you take in India. And when I took that exam, I had an option of either getting the core VLSI kind of like the core electronics in an IIT versus AI in Indian Institute of Science, right? And that was a premier college in India. And I thought I'll go with AI. There was no AI at that point of time, but I really liked the field, so I just jumped into it. And I thought now or later, some point of time it'll hit the right whatever threshold for it to become popular, and I just went with it. And I was involved in that field, but when I got out of it, there was no data scientist role at that point of time. So I started my career as a software engineer in Google, and that kind of helped me in terms of, I think, understanding how to build things is also important in this field. As you can see now, a lot of progress is being made by empiricalists who actually...
Empiricalists?
Not a theorist, like not a theoretical person, I'd say, or engineers would say, who are actually trying out stuff and building it at scale.
I see.
Yeah.
Nice. So, back then, you were saying this subject was like new and like it was more novel, right?
Yeah.
Do you see anything right now that is similar to how that course that you took was back then? Do you see anything like new and novel now that you think might have, like in the future, it might blow up the same way that this did?
Things are progressing pretty fast, but I would say few things that would there is some excitement regarding quantum computing. It's still not very clear what classes of problems it can solve, but it can solve some class of problems very fast. And and there's been some announcements by Google and few other things, and they're hitting more and more benchmarks. But I think that might be one area of study which can catch on. I'm not sure about it, and if somebody finds it interesting, it's good to try it out and see whether they can push the field. Other would be robotics. I think we just don't need AI that can do software per se, but we need AI that can do the job, which people are realizing it's very, very hard now. Like the things, as I said earlier, the things which we do naturally, we take it for granted, but it's very hard for machines to do it. Like let's say using your hands, dexterity, and doing a variety of tasks, right? And it's still not actually clear. The jury is still out on whether the robots need to be humanoids or do you need like task specific robots. Like, is it better to have a robot vacuum cleaner rather than a humanoid actually trying to learn, right? So that aspect of robots to improve manufacturing, to improve the day-to-day life of all human beings. That is one in the technology space, and I think general arts and if somebody's arts and whatever sports where you are actually entertaining other human beings or creating content for other human beings, I think no amount like AI can easily win chess, right? But nobody watches chess by AI. Yeah. We will watch chess by humans because they empathize with the humans. So I think that is also a good field to be in.
I see. Forward. So do you do any art? No, I'm just asking.
Not much.
Not much. Okay.
Yeah. But I'd say, I mean, I do listen to music. Yeah. I do appreciate art.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I can understand it.
Nice. Okay. So as you said you got into one of the top colleges in the top masters. So what was it?
Indian Institute of Science.
Yeah. IIS. Yeah. So you were very passionate for learning, right? As a kid.
I enjoyed maths. I enjoyed science.
Yeah.
And then there was also the way at that point of time, a job was very important, and sciences and engineering used to get jobs. So there was always a de facto option for me.
I see.
Yeah. But I also enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there something that helped you get your passion, or like a reason that you enjoyed it so much? Like, for example, for me, I really enjoy, say, physics, because it's like, I can see it, how it's working, or I can finally understand. When I was a kid, I used to watch these videos, Veritasium. Do you know Veritasium? Mm-hmm. So I used to watch those, and now I'm enjoying physics because I can finally understand what he's saying in those videos. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm enjoying it right now. So is there a reason why you enjoyed?
Yeah, I think broadly any task where you actually figure things out, right, is enjoyable, right? Like you see like even physics or be it machine learning, right? What you're trying to do is actually you're trying to build a model, some kind of a mathematical model, which will explain the behavior, right? And in physics, it's very deterministic, right? Like you know that if you throw a ball from X at speed Y, then it will end up at the place Z at speed whatever, right? So it's extremely deterministic. So physics gives a lot of enjoyment in terms of, you want to actually, you have seen something work some way all the time, and you can give an exact prediction on how it will turn out, right? And there's this beautiful equation, and this equation explains the entire dynamics of that thing, right? So that itself is like a satisfying thing for most people, I would say, right? Once you get into it, and similarly, what machine learning does is basically you have data, you have some observations. It's not as deterministic as physics, but probabilistically you will try to make a guess on what might be the outcome, right? So in that, learning from data and building out a mathematical model by itself is exciting, and programming is basically like you actually give a specific set of instructions. You have a higher level task, and you have to break it down into instructions, and that task, if you give those instructions, when it actually plays out and hits an end goal, it's very satisfying. Actually, program and code and math are logically the same thing. Like any math can be written as code, and any code can be written as math, vice versa. And any theorem proved is like any code compiling per se. So I think all of these have aspects of the same thing that hits you when you actually accomplish something. It's like, I had a specific thing in mind, or I had a specific observation, and now have a model of it. And that model actually fits my observation. It gives and that I think that natural passion was always there.
I see. Yeah. So do you think that kind of mindset is important to being successful, or especially to be an entrepreneur? Do you think that's a mindset that's important?
I mean, if you want to put in the normal terms, it would be curiosity, right?
I see.
When you're curious, you're trying to figure it out, right? You just look at things, like if you see a baby play with something, it's throwing something, it's throwing the ball, it's actually trying to understand the physics of it. And it's trying to, like if I throw at this speed, it'll end up there. If I throw at that speed, it'll end up there. If I like so it plays with stuff to figure it out. So that's like the curiosity. So the curiosity is very essential for you to develop passion in any field per se.
So you were talking about, and even last night you were talking about how AI is very similar. It's like basically an optimization problem, right? Mm-hmm. And like a very calculus of variation. That's basically what that is. And you very much enjoyed math right? Mm-hmm. So does that help you? Does knowing all of this see, I didn't know that until last night, but I could still like talk to AI. But because you knew this and because you knew all these concepts, are you able to work with AI better? Are you able to communicate and play with it or make it? Because I know for your company you use you tag like companies as hot code and like that. So does that help you design the network, this math knowledge or this previous knowledge? Does that help you?
So if you're going into core, let's say AI and data science, I think you need to have that math knowledge, right? If you're using that at some level, I mean, there are jobs at different levels also. Like you could just do prompt engineering, what you might have heard of it, where you actually figure out the right prompts to write so that it gives you the right outputs, right? And for those, you don't need to know the internals of how it works. But if you want to go one level deeper, and if you want to understand things better, I think a knowledge of how it works is still hard now because it has got billions of parameters, right? And so how it exactly works is what people are still trying to figure out. But how it was built and what is it trying to accomplish? What was the goals it was trained upon, right? Like for example, the models these days, the main insight was you build. If I were to go into some details, the earlier versions of machine learning models that we were building was basically you had a task, you had data, and now train that on that data and try to accomplish the task. And each guy was building his own model, right? But now the main insight that came in the last 5 to 10 years is that you build a base model on lots of data. Lots of data is take all the data in the world, in the internet, build a base model on top of it, and then that's called a pre-trained model. And then on top of it, you kind of train it on a large variety of tasks, but that is supervised. Supervised meaning where you give exactly this is the task in hand, this is what you exactly need to accomplish, do it, right? And the base model is basically just read all the text and see whether you can just predict the next word in the sentence, right? And building the base model and then fine tuning it beat all the other previous techniques that was doing specifically for the task, right? And so if you want to have a more deeper understanding of how it is built, what is fine tuning, what is reinforcement learning on top of it, you need to have an understanding of the math behind it, and to have an understanding of the math behind it, you need to know the calculus and stuff. So I would say depends upon how deep you want to go, but the more deeper knowledge you have, I think you might be able to build. If you're interested in building stuff, you'll be able to build it better, and you'll be able to optimize for the right things.
I see. So basically, people want to go into building stuff, like building AI itself, are the ones who are going to be like using this day to day, or will they be using it day to day?
No, if you're into the research of it, you would need it on a day to day basis. I see. Like if you end up in Stanford or Harvard or any of those universities, and if you end up in a research lab, I think you would have to take those courses where you learn the calculus, you learn optimization theory, and then linear algebra.
I'm not necessarily talking about the courses. I'm saying like working with it, like you have to use applications.
To use applications, no, you don't need to know.
You don't. Okay, I see.
But as I said, you could, if you know some internals of the application, a lot of things that we build is basically we build wrappers on top of the AI model to, let's say, in our case, to help in the marketing use case, right? And for you to build it out, you need to know how it works. And you may not need all the calculus and stuff, but you need to have an understanding of the general flow of it. And some if you're totally if you're totally away from Mac, it'll be harder for you to get it. Yeah.
I see. So it is beneficial, but it's not like, oh, I'm going to use this, I'm going to solve these problems every single week or every single day.
Yeah. As I said, it depends upon what you're working on.
Yeah.
Like, there are many layers.
The depth of how
you can
I see. Okay. So can you tell me a little bit about Chatimity? How do you pronounce that?
Chatimity.
Chatimity. Yeah.
So that was my first startup.
Yeah.
So that was we started in 2011, me and my co-founder, and so that at that point of time, mobiles was becoming big, right? I got my first mobile, like first smartphone. I got it in 2009 or something, right? I remember I had visited US in 2007, and at that point of time, just the iPhone was launched. That was the first. Earlier, they had what is it called, the iPod, which is just for listening to music, and then they released iPhone, and prior to that it was all Blackberries, right? Right, and that was the premium phone. Then iPhones had just come in, and maps and other things were coming. When I first came to US, I was actually using the physical maps to actually go around places, right? And that phone, and the phones that we used were the Nokia phones, which was just dial and call. And the smartphone was just got introduced and had taken a world by storm, just like how AI is doing now. And phones were becoming ubiquitous. And the idea was that there were chat rooms earlier in the internet, Yahoo chat rooms and other places where you could actually socialize with people. And the main hypothesis was that, okay, now that you have phone, you have location, you have identity, you can now use that to socialize with people or find top common interests. So that app was built to help people find friends or find people around common interests. So I think few of the successful stories would be Reddit, Discord, in that area. And there was also social networks, but social networks was for people you already know, like Facebook, Instagram, and etc. This was for people you don't necessarily know, but you are somehow connected either by location. Like, let's say you have a community WhatsApp group, right? There was no WhatsApp back then. So if you want to kind of talk about stuff for people around local, or if you want to talk about some topic of interest around in a certain area, let's say I want to talk with anyone in San Diego about this topic, right? It had all the verification in place because it was mobile. Earlier there was a lot of problem of spam. We had solved a spam problem in terms of some kind of a rating system where people could rate each other, and that could accumulate towards like your Uber ratings and stuff like that. And that had actually helped in controlling the spam and keeping the place nice and enjoyable. So that was a good experience. The problem was that we got to around 5 billion installs. Beyond it was hard to scale because this is with people who you don't know. Right. So there's no inherent viral aspect in it. If I were to use WhatsApp, I need my friends to be on WhatsApp. Otherwise, it's not useful to me. So if WhatsApp is a new thing, I'll ask 10 of my friends to come and join WhatsApp, and they'll ask 10 of their friends to join WhatsApp, so that you actually it becomes useful to do. And there's an inherent viral factor where it grows very fast. And this it was very hard to scale beyond a point without putting marketing money, but it's hard to put marketing money because people don't pay for these apps, right? So we kind of plateaued, and we were exploring a few options to sell it to businesses, at which point we got acquired. So that's the Chatimity story, where we built a social local mobile. SoloMo was the concept. You build apps for social local mobile. That actually never kicked off. In fact, even Sam Altman was, was building a similar company called Looped at that point of time in YC, right? And even that didn't kick off, and he just joined YC back then.
I see. Okay, so I have two questions related to this. First of all, how did you think of that rating system? How did you how did you decide that? Because I don't think there are any other social media apps that have like a reward system like that.
Yes. The idea, the main thing was the way we positioned it was it's a place for nice people, right? And everybody used to get something called as nice points, like the nice. And the reason is like even now, the main problem in Twitter was spam, right? How do you regulate spam? How do you regulate bots? And since it's a web, anybody can sign up. You can just create a fake email, sign up, and just spam, right? So the main insight was now that it's phone, you can't spam because you can't be tied identity to the phone, right? And you can't not to the email, but with one phone you can have just like phone number, right? With one phone, you can't create tens of phone numbers. So one was we tied identity to the phone. Spam was already a problem. It was a problem with the Yahoo chat rooms and other places. So that was something that we had to solve. The other thing was okay. Even then there could be spam, so we thought that there should be some kind of a moderation, right? There was the concept of moderation, which is basically even now in Reddit, you have a moderator who actually moderates one room or one topic, right? The problem was that you need to build this network of moderators. You need to train them. They have to come up with some rules, policies. There'll be a lot of, let's say, appeals, this, that. It becomes too much of a headache. So we thought, okay, why don't we do it like, why don't we build a community of people who will self-moderate themselves? And what would be the base? What would be the algorithms for that? And then, okay, then we'll each person will rate each other. Or if you add someone as a friend and your rating improves, you're not, like most of not spam and so on. So we came up with all these conditions on how do we actually rate someone, and you can rate each other, and then an algorithm to actually increase the points and then come up with the reward system. So there was no, I think it was more of a limitation that okay, we didn't want to build like a very complex moderator system, and we didn't have the critical mass for that to also happen. So organically we thought, what's the best way to do it organically?
Led by the people for the people.
No, it's democracy. But the only problem was that since it was community moderated, we weren't moderating it. A lot of people used to get actually banned from the app.
I see.
Right? And there used to be that this you are against free speech kind of argument being made. But free speech, first thing, free speech is between the government and the people. It's not between an app and the people. Second is it's like it's not like we are banning you. It's like the community doesn't want you in, so you're out.
I see. I see. So how did the machine learning background play into this?
Not a lot, but there were a few aspects about it. But I think the combination of engineering and machine learning helped quite a bit. So it was a lot. Most of the work was around building, right? Like building the Android app, building all these algorithms. So having sense of how to build a rating system, the algorithm pieces of it helped. Second, we also built a lot of spam classifiers, and back then it was actual classifiers that we had to build. Like you had to take all the text. So we started off with regular expressions. Which is basically you look at the strings, you look for some of the words which you think are not in the right taste, and use that to actually classify it as spam, and use that as a data set, and then build classifiers, and that came up with a lot more accuracy. So now today you can just give it an LLM and say is it spammy or not. It will tell you. Right. So but we built those classifiers. We also had page detection and other detection things to ensure that people are uploading the right pics. So a lot of things around spam classification, be it pictures, videos, or text, and the rating system for people. So those things help in building out the application.
Okay. So what was sold? The whole thing was sold, and who was it sold to? Because right now, if I search for Chatimity, I don't see it.
Yeah, so as I said, we plateaued, and then we were looking at giving out it as a module which you can put inside business. Right? Let's say you're instead of we having our own app. Let's say if you have your game, you are a developer for a game, and you want chat inside the game, right? We will give you a module which you can just plug into your code, and then you'll have a chat. Or I don't know if you've heard of Discord. Discord is an almost in every website where you can actually chat, right? So we started thinking around those lines, and there was this company. So this is a very different model. We were trying to acquire end users earlier. Now we had to sell it to businesses, right? And there was a company called Freshworks. Earlier it was called Freshdesk, which was a support platform which was selling to end users, to businesses. It was a SaaS company, and they were selling support.
What is SaaS mean?
SaaS is software as a service.
I see. Okay.
So instead of selling software, it's more software as a subscription mainly. Basically, instead of selling the entire piece of software, you license the software and get a monthly revenue on top of it. And they were selling support platform, which is basically, if you, let's say you call let's say your airline or something, and they return your call, or you chat with them, right? They'll chat back with you. So they won't build your software. They'll buy something like Freshworks to do that. And they were planning to build a lot of things around chat, and they were looking to acquire companies around chat who have the know-how of how to build chat and stuff like that. And they showed interest. And we were also looking to go into B2B, and there seemed to be good synergy, and we got acquired by them.
Cool. So, if you could do that whole thing over again, or the full Chatimity over again, would you do anything different, or would you you think you did the best?
I think people are still trying quite a bit, and I say to them, in fact, even recently I saw one startup with the same concept, saying that I want to build an app which will help people discover each other. I think there's some inherent limitation in it. I would say, how to crack it is still not very clear. I haven't seen any. Yeah, but probably we could have. If I were to do something differently, I would have pivoted to B2B.
I see.
Earlier, and probably grow there are quite a few big companies around like Intercom, etc. And that would be a better model. But I haven't still not seen any success story around the other side where you have an app which is doing well, which is clean, and which helps you find people. Right?
Yeah.
It's either Tinder on the one side, or it's like a community app. I don't know if it's there in US, but in India you have Mygate, or you create a WhatsApp group within the community, right? So that itself works to some extent for your day-to-day interaction, coordination, and stuff like that, right? And you create very specific groups. So I don't think that. So nobody has cracked that space yet. So I would say, if I want to do something different, I would have moved to a different space much faster.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see. So, in Factors.AI, I know that you tag companies as hot, warm, and cold. Was that inspired by how people tagged others?
No. The Factors.AI was mostly inspired by, I would say, how do you do analytics, right? To some extent, I would say I'd done some work on event streaming analytics in IIC, and that was kind of done back of my mind. And then when I was coming out and looking for ideas, one thing was how do you do better product analytics? How do you do better analytics wherein you have this customer journey, and you have a lot of such customer journeys, which is basically a user came to the website, or a user clicked on an application. Let's say you use an application. The company would be actually tracking which buttons you clicked on, how much time you spent on which page, and so on, right? Now you have all of the data. How do you analyze the data and come up with insights on what is useful, what is not useful, what to improve on, and so on.
Yeah.
Similarly, on the marketing side, you spend a lot of money, you get people on your website. Now you want to analyze that data. So how do you analyze this event stream data? And it always seemed hard to do. So that was the initial motivation to start. And that kind of evolved we went more niche into marketing analytics, and then we went further niche into B2B marketing analytics. That's when we started doing company level analytics rather than individual analytics, because B2B is not selling to the end user, it's selling to the end business. Yeah. And from there, you have the data now. How do you actually, which company should I focus on? Like, I've spent so many marketing dollars to get so many companies interested in my product. Now, how do I know which? But I can't go after all the 100 companies.
So which to pursue?
What I pursue next, right? So you need some kind of ranking, and that came from the customers itself, saying that I think I get to know who are all coming to my website, what are they doing, which pages they're visiting, but who do I focus on is something I don't know. Can you give me a scoring system? And that's where it came from.
I see. So no, I was just thought it was like similar, because the previous one, it was like, okay, let's score the people on how they're acting. So maybe it's this one was like, oh, let's score.
So that was more of a a community driven thing. Yeah. This is more of an absolute thing based on the data, based on the actions. We rank each account individually, just nothing like a rating system. Yeah. Where there's no giving 5-star, 4-star, and so on.
I see. Yeah. No, but that's cool. I had a couple of questions about Factors.AI, but you answered all of them. So thank you very much. So now, so going to a different thing. Right now, AI can do better physics than me. In a few years, I'm sure it will be able to do better. Like, it'll be able to do the actions better than most people. How important is it to know all of these topics, to know all of these other things in the future, versus just being like the person who's just like, okay, I want you to do this for me so I can reach this end goal, like being like a product manager. So do you necessarily need to know all of these hands-on things, or can you just be like the product manager and tell it to execute all these things going forward?
I would say, unless you go to the extreme case of where AI is doing everything in the world, then nobody has to do anything. As Elon Musk says, right? Like, nobody would have to work. But I'm not sure how soon it will come. I don't want to do predictions. But at least in the near future, right? I think it's a lot more specialized today. Like, engineers think about coding, and product managers think about what needs to be done and what do they need. But I think as it becomes easier, not knowing how to code is also not great, because if you want to tinker around it or want to change it, I don't think if you like, just like if you don't have an depth in the subject, if you only have a superficial understanding of it, I don't think you'll be able to do a very good job, and you might have to change. If you don't understand what's happening, you may not get it, right? And you won't understand the trade-offs. There's so many things which I don't think the AI is yet in a position to solve. So you have to get your roll up your sleeves and get into the muck and clean it up, right? And to clean it up, you need to actually be in a position to understand what's happening. And to understand what's happening, you should know how to code. You should know how to actually. You should have done enough coding, right? Like, I think one of the things in today's interviews is, if we allow them to use AI, let's say it comes up with a suboptimal code. The question is, can you understand the code and at least fix it? You should be in a position to fix the code, right? So I think that skill will still be required for quite some time, because I don't think AI will still get the complete context of what needs to be done, what's the stuff. But even if it's better to do, and it makes the job a lot more easier, I think people need to have the spectrum. People should also start caring more about what needs to be done, right? And who is it solving for? Why are we building this, and so on and so forth. So product managers are also figuring out how to code, and engineers also need to figure out how to why you're doing. It's always a good idea for engineers to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and who is it solving it for.
I see. So, as a entrepreneur yourself, do you see like there's like a lot of risk in being one? Do you feel there's a lot of risk? Do you feel more pressure? then because you worked in Google at the start, right? And then you shifted into Chatimity, and then you actually worked for that company, right? What was it called? The one that acquired Chatimity?
Freshworks.
Yeah, Freshworks. You worked there, right?
Yeah.
For a little bit. So is there like a difference between working for like a normal company like Google and now being in here with Factors.AI? Being like the CEO of it.
It's not a question of the risk reward is skewed in terms of you don't get that, let's say, like a monthly paycheck where you feel secure.
Yeah.
I do get a paycheck, but it would be like the kind of paycheck that I would generally get. So that aspect is there, but I think as long as it is sufficient, right? As long as you're not struggling, I think it's fine. If you're keen to do it, right? And so it doesn't feel that okay, there's a lot of pressure in those terms, but there's also the pressure of making it work, not failing, and so on and so forth, right? And you are kind of committed to it for a long term. So to start off, I would say you need a buffer of 1 year, right? You should be able to commit yourself for at least 1 year without having to worry about finances and other things, right? Like the only thing that matters here is finances. So if you can have a buffer of 1 year and try out something, and if it doesn't fly off by then, I think it's better to move on rather than harming yourself further.
Yeah.
Like that's the usual framework I give to people. Like you might feel that you're close, but if you feel that you're in a bad position financially, and if you and you can always get a job. Like it's not like it always improves your profile rather than it won't be like, oh, you tried something, you paid, now you're actually more employable than earlier. So I think that risk is not there. So if you start with the mindset that okay, I'll take this buffer, I'll save so much, or somehow I'll figure out how to have a buffer for 1 year and give it a shot, and then see how it goes. And probably if you are able to get some customers, users, and get some funding, then you're still fine. Then you can extend it further, right? And then take it further. So I don't think there is actually that amount of risk as people perceive it to be. If you are able to start small, and if you're able to give yourselves 1 year buffer, and if it clicks, it clicks. If it doesn't click, you just go back to the job.
I see. Yeah. So is that how you approached Chatimity?
Yeah. So Chatimity, clearly had some sort of a buffer. How much I will try, but we launched and we started getting users and we started getting revenue. So we continued on it.
So was that your first startup?
It was my first startup.
Yeah. Nice. So now, before that, do you ever feel like more busy than other, like when you were in, say, Google? Do you say like similar amount of work that you have to do over there to here, like in terms of time and busyness?
Yes, I think so. But Google was my first job. But I think if I had continued on that, I think I would have been a lot more busier over there too. I don't think it's a question of being busy. I think individually also it matters. Like some people work really hard even in companies like Google, right? It's not like and there's some people who can take it easy. I think in startup you don't have an option of you can take it very easy also, right? Because then it will definitely fail. So it becomes a necessary thing, and when you are in a job, it's an optional thing. I would say that's the difference. Like it is necessary for. It's also not just busy; it's also the different kinds of problems that keeps thrown at you, right? And you're kind of worried about the entire company, the business, and so on and so forth, right? And that's more focused, localized problem. So you don't have to worry about the larger picture so much, but you're more worried about the project that you're working on, and so on and so forth. So it might be a little less stressful also, or it could be a bit more stressful, or depending upon depending upon the culture and the other aspects. So yeah, I think I mean probably I would have worked equally hard. In terms of if I were to be working as a job, but I think I would not worry so much.
I see. Okay, so right now, if you were my age, if you were in my position, if you were my age at least, what would you try to pursue? What would you go into right now?
I would still go the sciences and AI, right? In fact, in the news I saw some high school students also presenting papers, and a couple of them, and a lot of people are into it. A lot of Chinese universities, at least 50%. I think this is something that we'll be cracking. Once we crack it, I don't think we'll have to worry much. I don't have to work so much. But I don't think it's that close by. So I think personally, I would still go for the same field. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. 46 minutes.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. Very nice, well-framed questions. Me and sir.
Let me try one more. I need the map.